So I was watching this video on YouTube with the thumbnail, Fear Will Lead You to a Life That's Too Small. And somehow that video just drew my attention. The actual title of the video was Last Lecture Series, How to Live Your Life at Full Power. And it was done by Graham Weaver on the Stanford graduate YouTube channel. For me, this video stood out. So this is what it might look like in case you want to look it up. What stood out to me in this video was my fear is not of, maybe things being too big. My fear is not going after big enough goals. That's basically a big thing for me and something that really drives me. But having said that, though, I then thought, okay, what are the things that actually hold you back? And by the end of that talk, you want you to make 3 promises to yourself. The first was to get unstuck. And the way he put that was remove the nail from your head. So the thing that's actually causing you the issues, actually remove that. So get unstuck. The next would be to follow your energy. So find out what areas really excite you, not necessarily what you're passionate about, because quite frankly, when you're young, you may not know what you're passionate about. And even when you're older, you still may not know what you're passionate about. However, you can see what are the things that you do that give you energy, that make you smile, that make you happy, and then pursue those things. Then beyond that, he also mentions that you've got to go all in now. So many people, oftentimes when they don't achieve their goals, it's not because they don't plan on doing it or they say, no, I could never do it. Many times they always say, yeah, but not now. Maybe when I've, earned a certain amount of money, or after I'm married, or after my kids are born, or after my kids are teenagers, or after they're grown, or after they've moved out. There's always going to be something that would make it seem like there will be a better time, but the years are just passing by and you just have to get up and do it. I know I've applied that to my life in one way, which I keep mentioning this PhD thing just because it's the thing that I think for me has been the strongest struggle for me. And it's not necessarily the case of the work, it's just mentally being ready to do it and actually going forward with it. I find I hit so many stumbling blocks and roadblocks. I'm just like, this PhD is driving me nuts, basically. But I know I've got to go with it. And I realized that the amount of time it takes to do the PhD, whether 4 years, whether 6, the time's still going to pass anyway. So I might as well use that time wisely and go for it. Obviously, there are opportunity costs as well, but putting that aside, you go for it. And then also remember the reason why you're doing it. For me, the reason why I'm choosing to do a PhD in technology enhanced learning, or EdTech for short, is because I'm really interested in seeing the ways in which we can improve the availability, the quality, accessibility of education on the African continent so that more people have access to education. Like a real big goal for me would be to be able to do something that would raise the literacy level across the continent by even 1%. Something that's repeatable, something that is doable. Just that 1% can make a huge difference. I can have many multiplier effects on the economies, on the lives of people. And when you say 1% overall, it's quite likely that there'll be other pockets of places where you're able to increase it by way more than that. But even that 1%, knowing what can be done to increase education attainment or literacy level by 1% could be something. And so I've had a lot of different experiences to do with the education sector. And I think doing the PhD is just one extra or one more thing that would help me with it. But having said that, it's been tough. It's been tough. And one thing this guy said, I believe his name was Graham, the person who did the video, was like, yeah, you have to go all in on it. No matter how long it takes, no matter how hard it gets, you keep pushing. And sometimes I found that difficult. Another concept he mentions in this, particularly when he was talking about following your energy, was actually looking at yourself as having 9 lives. So 9 lives being, 1, the first life is the life you're currently living now. So what you're doing, how you're choosing to pursue the goals you're pursuing, and even what those goals are, versus other versions of you. Now, when I think of myself, I think, okay, what are those other 8 lives that make me? And quite frankly, it was actually a bit difficult to put together those 8 lives because it just took quite a lot of thinking. But I did some thinking, and I'll share a few with you. I don't know if I can share all 8, but I can share some. So one of them is running a voiceover business. So I currently work as a voiceover artist. I run a business doing that, and I'm expanding it to include, or I've been expanding it rather, to include voiceover coaching. Now, coaching is just helping people, in a sense, unlock their voice and get them ready, audition ready, such that they can give themselves the best chances of getting voiceover jobs and jobs that they actually really enjoy and would want to do. So having said that, what I'm pursuing now, and I'm quite happy doing that. But then I did think, okay, let me go through the exercise and think of what are the other 8 lives. Another one I'm really interested in doing is public speaking. So doing more and more of that. I've had a few opportunities even since I moved to Canada, but I'm wondering, okay, what more can I do in this space? I think it's something I really want to think through. Then beyond that, another, when I say alternate life, would be working in local economic development because I think it's something that I can do and something I can actually bring a lot of insight into just by virtue of understanding how local economies work, how they interact with the global international trade, and what needs to be done to grow local economies so that things are better for both firms and people who live in those economies or those places. So that's something that really interests me. I'm also looking at jobs in that area potentially, not necessarily for the money, but more for just the experience of it and seeing what can be done in such a situation. But then another life could be me being a full-time YouTuber. So recording videos like these, posting them out, and just putting impactful stuff out there and focusing and just going really hard on it. That's something I could do that actually gives me energy. Like if I haven't recorded a video in a few days, I actually get a bit itchy. It's like, oh, I need to record something, put something out. So it's something I really enjoy and actually gives me energy rather than deplete it. So that's something. Or I could go into full-time research. So focus on this PhD full-time, drop everything else and just push with it. But the PhD is limited. I don't think I want to be a career researcher, but I could choose to focus all my time on this PhD and just get it out as quickly and as well as possible. That's another life I could pursue. I've also thought about being, a minister for education in some place or some situation as well, just because I'm really passionate about education and its ability to help people achieve more and just unlock opportunities, and not necessarily just giving people handouts, but actually creating situations where they can help themselves in a sense, but also the right kind of education that would empower and not shackle. And so not just help people fit into a mold, but actually help people create opportunities for other people as well. So that's something I've thought about in being the minister of education, like working towards that. But I'm not sure. I need to think that through and see if that would actually help me achieve the goal of empowering people, or if there are other ways of doing it still in the education space. Something I'm still thinking of. Changing perspective as well, and maybe focus and looking at family. So particularly the children when they come, being a homeschool mom. That's something it's an idea I've toyed with for a while. I don't know yet how I'll proceed with it and what the mechanics of it could be, but it's something I have considered to be able to give my children opportunities that are beyond the norm and just an opportunity to learn and be curious about learning. Not that you can't have that with public schools or private schools, but I feel like there could just be a difference that they could have from homeschooling, which could be worth exploring. I'm still thinking about that, but then that would require a lot of researching and going into that. And the question is that would that be the best for them? I don't know. It's just something I'm thinking of. I've also thought of other coaching programs that I could offer just from the experience I've had over time, whether as a data analyst or just in careers or helping young Africans. So when I say young Africans, I'm using a broad term because I've helped people in different countries on the African continent with their education, such that in doing that, you're able to touch people's lives and almost change generations by helping people with their education or along their educational journey. That's something I've also considered. But these are different lives, and I think, okay, this is interesting. So, having mentioned all of this, what he said was you then need to you don't necessarily have to leave what you're doing and do those other things, but you can once in a while pull from those things that give you energy and do them, and your life would be a whole lot better for it. But also it helps you deal with the fears, and you've got to actually combat the fears and ask, okay, what am I afraid of? One thing he mentioned as well was unarticulated fears have power over you. And sometimes these fears that are unarticulated, meaning they are not in the forefront of your mind, they're just lurking somewhere in the recesses of your mind. It's a fear, but it's not even properly formed, but it's just something that is stopping you from doing things. Maybe it's about time for you to go and look into them and say, okay, what are the fears that I have and why are they stopping me from doing the things that I want to do? Thinking about that, I know I do put this into practice. So sometimes I find I deal with procrastination a lot. It's something I'm still working on. And I find oftentimes when I'm procrastinating, there's a fear, an underlying fear that I've not quite dealt with and I've not quite articulated. But once I tell myself, okay, when you're procrastinating, get a pen and paper, just pen and paper, not even typing. Just write down what it is you're procrastinating from doing and why you think it might be what are your potential fears on it. And when I write it down, I see what the fears are, so they come to the fore, and I realize actually it's not worth being afraid of. I can actually handle this, and then I would then go forward and actually work on it. But those fears, when you don't articulate them, they can have such a hold on you that you may not even realize that it's stopping you from achieving the goals you want to achieve. So these are things I learned from this video anyway, and it also was, I could say, also a confirmation of some of the things that I'm doing right, but also some of the things that I think I could do better. One of the things it says is go all in now. So first of all, articulating what it is that I actually want to do. I'm very happy continuing along the voiceover business for now, but then thinking a few steps down the line, what is it that I would like to do? And am I working? Are the actions I'm taking today working towards that? That's something I need to just keep on having in review at the back of my mind to make sure that I'm doing that and just working towards it. And then we'll see, and just keep having reviews. Another line of thinking that's similar to this is the Odyssey plan. I'm just mentioning this for someone who wants to go look up these terms. But basically, it's a similar sort of thinking where it says, okay, if money and people's opinions were not an issue and not a problem, what would you do? And when you free yourself from any constraints in life, you start to realize the things that are important to you. But if you go a step further and actually try and articulate what it would take to achieve the dream that you want, you actually might realize that the dream you want is actually not too far away. And you might have thought, well, I need $1 million to do this. But actually, maybe you don't. Maybe you can actually do it on your current income. So that's something I definitely, just looking at challenging your previously held beliefs and things that maybe may have held you back from doing the things that you wanted to do. Actually listening to yourself and asking, what are the things that are holding me back from taking action today? And in doing that, you get unstuck and you start working towards it. I know even going into voiceovers was one of those things where, like, being able to jump into voiceovers was a challenge. And like the guy said in the video, things tend to get bad before they get good. So I was making some decent money in voiceover, and I thought, okay, maybe it's about time to make that shift, because if I don't make the shift now, I may not do it later. There'll be other reasons why, it's never a good time. So I made the jump. And I have to say, the entrepreneurial road has its ups and downs. Sometimes you get a lot of clients coming in. You're trying to see how to manage different clients, and then other times it's crickets. And then you have to learn other things beyond the skill that or the solution you're offering them. Everything from a bit of accounting, some marketing and sales, and just different things, and diversifying what you offer. And it can be a bit of a journey, quite a journey. And like I said, sometimes it gets worse before it gets better. And you've got to be able to stick through it and say, okay, no matter how long it takes, you're going to push through, and you're going to keep working through and working towards the thing you want. Like I said, it's not always easy, and it's not always straightforward. But once you know that things do get bad before they get good, it can give you some confidence in going forward with the thing you want to do, knowing that yes, things may be tricky, but they'll get better. Yeah, just thought I'd share that with you. Let me know if it was valuable to you in any way. Drop a like, leave a comment, and I'll catch you in the next one. Check out all the other videos that will pop up on your screen, probably on this side. All right, I'll catch you later. Take care.